Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Keep my head up when I act, head up, that's a fact. Never looking back, I'ma keep myself on track. Keep my head up, staying strong, always moving on. Feel I don't belong, tell my thoughts to move along. Push myself to be the best, die with no regrets. Live with every breath, see my message start to spread. And I had so many dreams, then you hit your teens. Life ain't really what it seems, try to find out what it means. Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Yeah, I put out all this art, it's my only medicine. Yeah, everything I do, I'm just being genuine. Yeah, I'm sick of being screwed, feel my own adrenaline. Yeah, I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah. I'm grateful, oh yeah, able, oh yeah, I'm stable, oh yeah, no label, oh yeah, you know me, I have only the best. I'm lonely, but damn, I'm going to win. I don't want no fake love, I want the real stuff. Everybody listen up, cause I'll only say it once. I'm gonna show you all the path, if you want it bad. I'm gonna show you where it's at, yeah, how you can get it back. Yeah, cause I ain't never done, I'll be number one. Working hella hard until I get just what I want, yeah. Rises like the sun, yeah, fatal like a gun. Shooter's gonna shoot and I'm gonna shoot until I won, yeah. Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Yeah, I put out all this art, it's my only medicine. Yeah, everything I do, I'm just being genuine. Yeah, I'm sick of being screwed, feel my own adrenaline. Yeah, I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah. I'm grateful, oh yeah, able, oh yeah, I'm stable, oh yeah, no label, oh yeah, you know me, I have only the best. I'm lonely, but damn, I'm going to win, yeah.
Hey everybody, how are you? Happy Thursday from blustery, cold tundra of New York. It is freezing here. It currently feels like 12 degrees when it was close to 70 last week. So it is freezing. And allegedly, according to one of my coworkers, we're supposed to get 5 to 8 inches of snow this weekend. So that's fun. Thanks, Gina. I appreciate that. So I, again, was not planning on going live. I was working on a video, and I had checked for updates on this when I got home from work, and they still had not located Mr. Mead or his accomplice. And I was kind of just scrolling through, and I saw an update. We're going to have an update at the end about Persia Nelson, who is the mom accused of killing her almost 11-month-old baby here in New York. We'll watch that at the end. And as I was watching that video, I saw on the side update, Idaho update. And I was like, wait, what? And so sure enough, they have captured not only Mr. Mead, but also his accomplice. So we're going to take a look at the press conference. I chose to go with, I believe this, it's channel 7. And I chose this one because the audio is better than major media, and they summarize the case before they have the press conference. So yes, they have caught them. Well, not caught them, but found them, apprehended them, captured them. So I'm just going to say a blanket hello. I was kind of saying hello to some of you in chat as I was waiting to start. So thanks again, everybody, for being here. I do appreciate it. So we're going to get started.
Say were involved in a shooting at St. Alphonsus in Boise early yesterday morning.
Right, and that's the shooting we've been following. It left 3 Department of Correction officers hurt, one of them in critical condition. Here's what we know at this time. Police tell us that Skylar Mead, an Idaho Department of Correction inmate, was at St. Alphonsus Hospital where he was receiving treatment for what we were told was a self-injurious incident or a self-inflicted injury. We understand that happened late Tuesday night. Then on Wednesday morning, when he was being put back in the prison van, talking about Mead, it was about 2 o'clock in the morning yesterday, police say another man, Nicholas Umphenor, who's on the right of your screen right there with the beard, he showed up, began shooting at officers.
Both Mead and Umphenor got away. Mead is a documented member of the Aryan Knights gang. That's a white supremacist prison gang in Idaho. He was...
And this photo on the left is Mr. Mead. And this photo that they released, he had many more tattoos than he did here. So I'm excited to hear how they found them.
He has Aryan Knights tattoos on each side of his face. You can't see it in that photo there.
Oh, she said what I just said.
Is 5'11", 160 pounds. He has brown hair and hazel eyes. Police believe they are, or at least were, driving a 2020 gray Honda Civic with license plate number 2TDF43U. We are certainly going to ask the question of law enforcement whether or not they're still in that car, if they have information about that. 2 of the officers who were shot have non-life-threatening injuries. The third is in critical but stable condition. Both men are believed to be armed and dangerous. If you have any information or if you see them, call 911 and do not approach them. It's also important to note that police are saying Umphenor shot 2 of those IDOC officers. Yeah. We do understand that the third officer was shot by a Boise police.
And again, this was prior to the news conference. So again, I spoiled it for everyone because the thumbnail also said captured. But at this point, they were still waiting for the press conference to start. So we are watching it a little bit later than when it had initially began, but they're still talking as if they haven't been captured.
Police officer who showed up to the scene at the St. Alphonsus ambulance bay and saw an armed man in what they call their khakis and blacks, that IDOC uniform, and shot that third IDOC officer.
A very chaotic situation. Of course, this was about 2 o'clock in the morning yesterday. Again, we are standing by waiting for a news conference right now with Boise Police. We understand the Idaho State Police will be there, as well as the Idaho Department of Corrections. You may remember about 24 hours ago, Boise Police, IDOC, they were able to give us some updates in a live news conference that was about 1 o'clock yesterday. But Morgan, I know there's a lot of questions out there right now. Yeah. Of course, across social media, there are some people that are claiming there's been sightings, there's claims about cars being switched. So we're hoping to get some real information from police about what is a fact and what's not community rumor.
Right. And they had a media briefing yesterday where they provided all the latest information. At that time, Umphenor hadn't been identified. He was identified last night. But we did hear about a possible sighting up in Valley County. And I was talking to the Valley County Sheriff yesterday. They had posted on Facebook that they'd received a sighting tip that somebody saw that 2020 Honda Civic potentially. And the sheriff said that the description was the same as the car, but that the license plate matched partially to the license plate number that we've been given now for that car. He said that they weren't able to get eyes on and actually confirm whether that tip was legitimate or not. So again, Valley County posted this on social media, but they weren't able to confirm whether or not those 2 individuals were seen in Valley County, or excuse me, in Idaho County. It was Valley County deputies who responded, but that sighting was allegedly in Idaho County.
In the investigation right now, it's going in 2 separate directions. You have one, the active search for these 2 men that are on your screen right now, but Morgan, also looking backwards in terms of What happened here? How is this coordinated? How is this able to even be a possibility that IDOC officers were ambushed like this and somebody was able to get away? So we know that the investigators, they're going through a lot of different situations. We understood yesterday from Chief Weiniger from Boise Police that they were getting a lot of tips. There was tips that was coming in. Some tips may be more valuable than others. You also understand, though, as we were talking, that these guys could have gotten pretty far. But we do understand that the press conference is about to start. I believe we want to get there right now. This is Boise Police Chief Ron Weiniger.
It is my pleasure to welcome you today. Also, today you will be hearing from Lieutenant Colonel Sheldon Kelly of the Idaho State Police, as well as Director Josh Tewalt of the Idaho Department of Correction. Also present here with me is Ada County Sheriff Matt Clifford. This is but a small representation of the number of different agencies that have assisted in this investigation to this point, and we are grateful for their help. I want to begin today by announcing that right around 2 p.m. this afternoon, following a lengthy investigation, the two suspects who we have been seeking were located in Twin Falls, in the Twin Falls area. There was a short vehicle pursuit, and both suspects were taken into custody separately. There were no shots fired or extensive use of force in this operation, for which we are thankful. Obviously, that just occurred within less than an hour, and so we do not have a lot of details about the arrest right now, but we do have some more information to share with you, and we will be gathering those details and providing them as soon as we possibly can. And we once again want to make known Skylar Meade and Nicholas Umfenauer are in custody. Would like to turn the time now over to Lieutenant Colonel Sheldon Kelly of the Idaho State Police, because this investigation has grown immensely over the last 24 to 36 hours and has involved a number of different entities and crimes across the state of Idaho. And so to speak to some of those and answer questions as well, Lieutenant Colonel Kelly.
Thank you, Chief. Again, my name is Sheldon Kelly. I'm a Lieutenant Colonel with the Idaho State Police. I'm Chief of Operations. First off, I want to thank all the law enforcement agencies across Idaho that have assisted with this. I know it's the Idaho way, but there was an immense collaboration and cooperation all across the state to come to this conclusion. Ever since this incident kicked off, we've had professionals working tirelessly on this issue to get to the point where we are today. Through the course of this investigation, detectives located the Honda Accord that was used in the escape near Leland, Idaho. Additionally, law enforcement we are investigating two homicides at separate locations in Nez Perce and Clearwater counties. These are potentially tied to this incident.
Oh, gosh.
Both homicides involve adult males, and detectives are actively investigating. No further information on the homicides is available at this time, and the county coroner will provide identity as well as the official cause of death on those. Like the chief said at the end of this, if you have some questions, if I can't answer them, I will. It is an ongoing investigation.
And I'm just going to rewind that a little bit because I was looking up that information for Cray Cray. So I did put it in chat. Mr. Meade was serving a 20-year prison sentence for shooting a sheriff in a high-speed car chase at the time of his escape. So that's what he was serving time for. But he also had assaulted a police officer with a weapon. He had the weapon extension while in prison. He was due to be up for parole in October, I believe it was, this coming October, and his sentence was due to end in October 2037.
Additionally, law enforcement we are investigating two homicides at separate locations in Nez Perce and Clearwater counties. These are potentially tied to this incident. Both homicides involve adult males, and detectives are actively investigating. No further information on the homicides is available at this time, and the county coroner will provide identity as well as the official cause of death on those. Like the chief said at the end of this, if you have some questions, if I can't answer them, I will. It is an ongoing investigation, and to not taint that, we're not going to be able to share everything. And now I'd like to let the director of Idaho Department of Corrections, Josh Seawald, give an update on his folks.
Thank you, Colonel. My name is Josh Seawald. I'm the director for the Idaho Department of Correction. First, just nothing but appreciation for the cooperative effort from federal, state, and local law enforcement throughout Idaho and even neighboring states for their cooperation in helping to bring these two suspects to justice. We were able to share the news moments ago with our two staff members who remain in the hospital, and it's safe to say their spirits were lifted. We know, to give you an update on their condition, one of our officers was released from the hospital last evening, while two remain in the hospital. They're stable, improving, and I think with today's news, their spirits are lifted. Just to provide a little bit of context on the other suspect who we believe helped Skylar Meade escape and who actively attacked our staff yesterday morning, Nicholas Umfenauer. We'll be posting a little bit more information about his criminal history and time with us at the Department of Correction to our website, and we'll share that to State Police, BPD, as well for them to distribute. But once he was identified as a potential suspect yesterday, our investigators, along with cooperation from other law enforcement partners, began trying to tie him with Skylar Meade. In addition to both having membership with the Aryan Knights, they also shared some common acquaintances, both in custody as well as in the community. Lastly, they did have some housing overlap on and off from December 29th, 2020 to when Mr. Umfenauer was released from our custody on January 17th of 2024. Wow. They were both housed at the Idaho Maximum Security Institution, and there was frequent movement in between, but there were times within that time frame where they shared they were in the same housing unit at our facilities. With that, just again, want to express our thanks and appreciation for what was a very tough ordeal for the corrections family. But thanking BPD and their response now over 36 hours ago to the ambush on our staff, but everybody who's offered assistance and put their shoulder into helping bring these two suspects to justice.
Thank you, Director. We can't possibly name everyone who helped with this investigation and the last 36 hours, but of particular note, I would certainly like to thank the FBI for their assistance. They have been involved and were also involved in the pursuit and taking into custody of these gentlemen down in Twin Falls area. We appreciate them and virtually every county sheriff's office between here and northern Idaho and across to eastern Idaho. We thank our partners here in the Treasure Valley for their assistance, particularly Josh Hurwitz, our U.S. attorney, has been involved and helpful, along with the FBI. And the Ada County Prosecutor's Office has certainly been an integral part of this investigation, providing support and all the needs that we have come across over the last 36 hours. So again, I apologize for not being able to thank everyone, but there are a lot of folks who have come together to do some really good work and really important work to take these two gentlemen, and I use that term loosely, into custody before their path of destruction could get any wider. So thank you. We do have time for a couple of questions, but we are limited in what we can release at this point. And we still have a lot of work to do to make sure that we have investigated all of the leads that have come in. We've had hundreds of tips come in from the members of the public, for which we are also grateful and would like to thank those who have taken the time to provide us with information as this case unfolded. A couple of questions for anyone, if you would. Yes, sir.
You know, I know hindsight is always 20/20, but given what you knew about Meade's history of violence, do you think there was enough security with him when he went to the hospital on Wednesday?
Yeah, I think we're certainly in the process of reviewing our policies and practices, and I think there are two things that have to be evaluated in this particular situation. The first is whether our staff adhered to policies and practices, and I think we feel really comfortable at this point in saying that our policies were followed. Security was actually augmented as a result of Meade's history. So they did in fact go above and beyond. The second piece of that, which falls squarely on me, is whether our policies and practices were sufficient enough to put our staff in a position to maintain their safety and security. And so that's the process that's ongoing right now for department leadership as well as prisons leadership to make sure that they're positioned as good as possible. But I can tell you from our initial review of events, facility leadership in authorizing that transport and augmenting resources, as well as the conduct and performance of our staff in the execution of that transport, were wholly in line with our policies and practices.
So there was more protection than was required.
Correct.
Director, one more question for you. Any insight into how someone who's in a maximum security prison in the most restricted part of that prison could have possibly coordinated this kind of escape?
Absolutely, that's what we've turned our investigative resources towards ferreting out. What we do know, and this is, I think, a challenge that plagues corrections across the country, is contraband cell phones, other third parties, other means of communicating. You know, one of the things we try very hard to interdict are the abilities for people in custody to further their criminal activities on the outside or within our secure institutions. So we know that there are ways that they attempt to thwart our procedures and our safeguards that we have in place. And that's what we're trying to figure out right now, is exactly how, what we know with near certainty, this was not an accident. This was a planned event. And we're channeling every resource we have into trying to understand exactly how they went about planning it. Yeah, the information we have is that he was in restraints while he was being escorted out of the hospital. Once events transpired, I'll defer to the people investigating those events, but yeah, he was in restraints.
Is there any details you can share about what happened from the time they left the hospital to when they were arrested? And also, in terms of the homicide, is there any Arabian Nights ties, or how is it possibly linked to the two homicides?
There's not a lot that we know. Obviously, our folks are still on the scenes of those homicides. It has not been that long since we found this out, so we're still investigating. In the coming days, we will be able to learn more information about whether those ties exist or what happened. You asked about handcuffs. We did find the shackles at the scene of one of the homicides, so that's one of the ways that we tied them together.
Were they still driving the same vehicle?
We found the vehicle they escaped in up in northern Idaho, and they took another vehicle.
Did Gallatin County Sheriff's Office put out a statement and said that they proceeded to school yesterday? Was that a completely?
Who put that out?
The Gallatin County Sheriff's Office in Montana.
It's possible. Yes,
So it is possible that they might have crossed state lines since the escape.
it is possible.
I didn't hear that question. I'm not sure what.
More specific about where it happened and how long the chase went on?
It is so recently that I can't give you a lot. I know they were located. They determined that they were found apparently, and they tried to flee. I don't know how long the pursuit lasted. It was in Twin Falls County, and they were taken into custody without shots.
Were they spotted by a member of the public or a police officer? How were they spotted?
I don't know that information.
Is one of these homicide victims the owner of the car they were driving? Did they carjack someone and kill them?
We weren't there. They did have his car. I don't know. The investigation is so early, we don't know exactly what transpired.
Did it happen to be a Chrysler Pacifica? You know?
I do not know.
Because that's what he was seen, they say, in Missoula. So I'm just curious.
And these are the tips that come in that helped us solve this.
Yeah. So I can piece together.
Which agency took them into custody?
There are numerous agencies involved. To say one, it's unclear, and it is so fresh. We know they're in custody. We don't have all the details of what transpired.
Do you all believe that Umfenauer was in Florida up until Sunday?
I have no idea. They are in custody. As far as I know, we've not heard of any injuries sustained during the takedown.
Was there any gunfire exchange?
No, there was not.
Any indication if the two people who were killed had any ties to any gangs?
We're working that out. Don't have any information on that at this time. Obviously, as I said, the investigation is ongoing, and we'll sort that out in the coming days, but it's too soon to speculate on that.
Were one of those homicides in Orofino?
I didn't. They were both in one. We don't know where it occurred, but they were both located in rural Idaho, so not inside city limits.
Oh, man.
Again, I'm not going to get into the details of the homicide. One, I'm not there. Our guys are still on scene doing that job, and so I don't want to get it wrong.
Where do you believe they may have been heading?
To Twin Falls County. I'm not trying to be smart. All we know is that's where they ended up, and that's where we caught them. Again, the investigation's ongoing.
Does it seem that they wanted to get to these two people that they killed specifically?
The motive and why they did what they did, I don't know.
What role did the
Whether Umfenauer was a member of Area Nights?
I believe the director confirmed that. Yes. Is that accurate?
Correct. What role did the FBI play in all of this?
They assisted us.
And also in terms of the Area Nights, anything being done in the prison to address that gang, given that,
I will happily turn this over to the director.
Yeah, the area nights are one of multiple security threat groups that we monitor and try to interrupt their activities. I think that's a daily occurrence within the Department of Correction, is trying to help, trying to mitigate the damage that gangs can do. Primarily when that criminal activity can extend beyond our secure perimeters and wind up back out in our communities. But in terms of the actions of Skylar Meade and Nicholas Umfenauer, their gang involvement doesn't necessarily indicate that this was some sort of gang sanctioned event. In fact, we have, I think that's, I'll leave it at that right now, but independent of their actions, the Department of Corrections and our team of investigators and staff work hard every day to try to disrupt any sort of organized criminal activity that happens within our facilities.
To verify, where are they being held and what's next for both of the men?
They were arrested in Twin Falls County, so that they will start their, I'm sure they'll be taken to the Twin Falls County Jail to begin with. From there, as the investigation proceeds and we develop more information, there's a good chance there'll be prosecution in several different locations.
Whose car was the Honda Civic or Honda Accord that you all mentioned? Was it Umfenauer's or was it stolen?
It was reported stolen.
Oh,
And I think we're going to cut it off at that point.
One more last question. How did you come to the conclusion that you associate the two Asian homicides with this case?
By information that we developed on the scenes of the homicide, and I can't go much further than that. In the last 24 hours, and that's truly all. Thank you, folks.
All right.
No.
All right, we just heard from Boise Police Chief Ron Weiniger. We heard from Idaho State Police as well as the Idaho Department of Correction. They said that those two suspects, Nicholas Umfenauer and IDOC inmate Skylar Mead, were found in Twin Falls County. This after early yesterday morning, Umfenauer showed up allegedly at St. Alphonsus and shot officers as they were taking Skylar Mead out of St. Alphonsus. We are told that Skylar Mead was in restraints at this time. It was a ambush type attack and had to have been coordinated somehow. Idaho Department of Correction, along with U.S. Attorney's Office, FBI, everybody's investigating how exactly they planned this while Mead was inside the Idaho Maximum Security Institute.
And we did get a little bit of indication on what possibly could have happened here. We did learn that Nicholas.
And I did look up as they were talking because I was curious how far Twin Falls County is from Boise, or specifically St. Alphonsus Regional Medical Center, which we did learn that the car was reported stolen because one of the reporters had asked whether or not it was Umfenauer's car or if it had been stolen, and someone actually said it was stolen. And that's when the chief was kind of like, okay, we're going to end it here. It's only about 2 hours from the hospital where this happened. So, and again, the chief would not say where the two homicides occurred, but they believe it may be connected to this incident. And someone had asked where the homicides had occurred, and he answered rural Ohio or rural Idaho. So again, very scarce information, but the important thing is they have been apprehended without incident. And I was shocked to learn that Mr. Umfenauer, who is the man on the right, was just released from state custody on January 17th, 2024. So about 2 months prior to this incident.
Umfenauer and Skylar Mead, that they were together at some point.
Oh, and they were going to show the map too. Okay.
I want to show you this map here right now, and something that was brought up. Idaho State Police says that there were 2 homicides that have happened here in the state of Idaho over the last 24 hours, we believe, that are possibly connected to both Mead and Umfenauer. We'll show you this map right now. We'll start with the top up at Leland, Clearwater, and Nez Perce County. You can see up in that area, there's a possibility of 2 homicides that were connected to both of these men. And Morgan, something that I thought was extremely interesting was that the Idaho State Police, they're telling us that the prison shackles, or the IDOC shackles that were supposedly on Mr. Mead, they were found at one of the scenes of the homicide. So that's kind of how they start to connect 2 and 2. But if you take
K-Braze, as per what I don't know if he's the warden or, the correctional officer, the spokesperson for the prison had said that Umfenauer was housed at their institution. Specifically in the same, he didn't call it a block. It was a unit, because he had mentioned yesterday that Mr. Mead was housed in the administrative unit part of the prison. And actually, I did find, for those of us just coming in who may not have seen my live yesterday, I did find an article from The Independent that kind of goes through everything that happened who Mr. Mead is, who Mr. Umfenauer is. So inmate Skylar Mead escaped from prison in Idaho. What we know about his links to white supremacist gangs. And again, this was updated 2 hours ago, but we know now that he is no longer on the run, that he and his accomplice have been apprehended. So again, the manhunt was underway after the men coordinated a prison escape in Idaho on Wednesday. And again, it occurred around 2:15. Well, I believe it was 2:09 a.m. He was released from the hospital. And as Mr. Mead and 3 correctional officers were leaving, they were ambushed by Mr. Umfenauer. 2 correctional officers were shot in the process. And at 2:15 is when the first 911 call came in. When Boise police responded, they saw someone with a weapon. One of those officers fired their weapon and ended up shooting the 3rd correctional officer, who had the weapon. All of them will be okay. I know yesterday one of them was in stable but critical condition, and I was surprised they didn't update us. Maybe they did and I missed it, but they didn't update us on, how they're doing now. So it says 3 prison officers were shot as Umfenauer launched an attack at St. Alphonsus Regional Medical Center and escaped with Mead around 2:15 a.m. on Wednesday. I didn't realize they had that in this article. The inmate was at the hospital seeking medical treatment. And again, the prison spokesperson had said, which appeared to be self-injurious injuries. The man was taken to the hospital around 9:35 p.m. Tuesday after he engaged in that behavior. It was when officials were gearing up to transfer Mead back to prison that the attack occurred. He was serving a 20-year prison sentence for shooting a sheriff in a high-speed car chase at the time of his escape. And I will be right back. I need to go do something really fast. I'll be right back. Sorry about that, y'all. There was stuff blowing around outside. Okay. Sorry, might be a little out of breath. I raced out there. Okay. So Umfenauer allegedly shot 2 of the officers to help Mead break free. A 3rd correctional officer was shot amid the chaos as backup arrived at the scene and mistook the officer for an armed individual. 1 officer is in critical but stable condition, while 2 sustain non-life-threatening injuries. Oh yes, the cats are safe. It was something outside. The wind here is so bad. Oh my gosh. And I heard a noise and I was like, oh no. My fault though. I should have made sure it was not able to be blown around. Okay. Police said the pair fled in a gray 4-door sedan. The duo are armed and dangerous. And again, we know that they have been apprehended. So who is Skylar Mead? So again, Skylar is the one who, you know, engaged in self-injurious behavior to get himself to the hospital. And we had asked yesterday, well, I had actually expressed, how did they know? Well, someone in chat said, how did they know what hospital Mr. Mead would be at in order to orchestrate this? Was there someone, one of the reporters had asked, could there, you know, have been others at other hospitals waiting? Because again, how would they know what hospital he would be taken to? So Skylar Mead has been incarcerated since 2016, October 2016. His most recent sentence is due to end in October 2036. Okay, so that was my mistake. I apologize about that. He's incarcerated for charges including aggravated battery on a law enforcement officer with a firearm enhancement. Before that, he was convicted of felony possession of a controlled substance, grand theft, and introduction of contraband into a correctional facility. Based on a report from KTVB7, the prisoner was convicted after a shooting at a Twin Falls Sheriff's Sergeant during a high-speed car chase. And they were also apprehended in Twin Falls County. The outlet reported that the man was trying to flee a traffic stop. The man ended up crashing his car and tried to run away on foot, but was later arrested. He was separately convicted of possession of methamphetamine, illegal possession of a handgun, and having a shank at a county correctional facility. Officials described him as 5'6" and 150 pounds. He has face tattoos with the numbers 1 and 11. 2 of the tattoos represent A and K, the first and 11th letters of the alphabet, which are associated with the Aryan Knights, a white supremacist gang the prisoner is a member of. Prior to the incident, Mead was being held in solitary confinement due to security concerns. So I believe someone earlier had asked about whether or not he and Mr. Umfenauer were in the same unit. So this states that he was being held in solitary confinement at the time of his escape. Yeah, Heather, I thought the same. I thought for sure he'd be taller, but 5'6". He's kind of like Danilo Cavalcante, but he didn't crab walk his way out. He just, hurt himself enough to get taken to the hospital. How was he able to escape? Under state procedure, unarmed guards stand at each side of a high-risk prisoner while an armed guard follows them. Officials did not elaborate on additional security measures that were taken. All of the officers shot work for the Idaho Department of Corrections. It's not clear if Mead was walking on his own or restrained in any way. And again, they did clarify that he had been restrained to and from the hospital and as they were walking out of the hospital. Who is Nicholas Umfenauer? And they did spell his name wrong. There's an R at the end. According to police information, Umfenauer is about 5'11" and weighs 160. He has brown hair, hazel eyes. Well, he had no hair in the photo they showed us. He's currently wanted for 2 counts of aggravated battery against law enforcement and 1 charge of aiding and abetting an escape. The warrant, which was issued last night, had a $2 million bond. Officials did not provide additional information about Umfenauer's past criminal history or if he had any, except to say he is an associate of Mead. Well, they did say that he had been released from state custody in this past January. And I'm actually going to, because I had looked up Mead's I don't think I'll be able to find it, but I'm going to try. I was able to see his criminal charges. Oops. But he's no longer an inmate, so I'm guessing I won't be able to see his charges or what he was in for. Let's see. Now I can't find the site I was at yesterday. Oh, here. Boise County. And now I don't remember his first name. Umfenauer. Nicholas. All right. I'm going to just actually Google his name and see. Okay, so Fox Philly. A lot of these stations only have the criminal history of Mr. Mead. Oh, here we go. Is this Nicholas Umfenauer? Let me see. This article had his name in it, I thought. Oh, yes, Nicholas Umfenauer. And unless there's another Nicholas Umfenauer, I believe this is the same dude. So this was from 2019. So it's prison terms announced for 3 Gage County men in separate cases. And so Mr. Umfenauer, here, a Beatrice man has been ordered to serve a 5 to 10-year prison term on a drug conviction. 34-year-old Nicholas Umfenauer was sentenced in Gage County District Court Wednesday for attempted possession with intent to distribute a controlled substance. He was given credit off the term for 60 days spent in jail. So 5 to 10 years, that would put, him in the range. And if he was just released this January, that would have been only 5 years. So, he was sentenced to 5 to 10 years. So possibly he was in for a drug charge, which seems a little bit, going from a drug charge to helping someone escape state prison, I feel like is a huge jump. A lot of the articles are saying that law enforcement isn't releasing any of his past information. But I'd be curious to know if he had other charges besides what we know of. All right, so I'm not seeing any more updated info on this. I'm just going to check. And actually, we'll go back real quick to finish watching kind of the summary of the news conference. So I'm just going to back up a tiny bit. So for those of you coming in a little bit late, this is kind of an update of what we heard during the press conference.
Umfenauer showed up allegedly at St. Alphonsus and shot officers as they were taking Skylar Mead out of St. Alphonsus. We are told that Skylar Mead was in restraints at this time. It was a ambush type attack and had to have been coordinated somehow. Idaho Department of Correction, along with U.S. Attorney's Office, FBI, everybody's investigating how exactly they planned this while Mead was inside the Idaho Maximum Security Institute.
And we did get a little bit of indication on what possibly could have happened here. We did learn that Nicholas Umfenauer and Skylar Mead, that they were together at some point during their incarceration at IDOC. I want to show you this map here right now, and something that was brought up. Idaho State Police says that there were 2 homicides that have happened here in the state of Idaho over the last 24 hours, we believe, that are possibly connected to both Mead and Umfenauer. We'll show you this map right now. We'll start with the top up at Leland, Clearwater, and Nez Perce County. You can see up in that area, there's a possibility of 2 homicides that were connected to both of these men. And Morgan, something that I thought was extremely interesting was that the Idaho State Police, they're telling us that the prison shackles or the IDOC shackles that were supposedly on Mr. Mead, they were found at...
Okay, so that's interesting because I just realized Boise is only 2 hours from Twin Falls. However, the homicides they believe are connected are actually north. So Nez Perce, let me look up how far away that is. Nez Perce, Idaho. Oh, wow. Okay, so that's about 6.5 hours from... Oh, wait a minute. Nope, I lied. Hold on a second. I had the wrong thing in. St. Alphonsus. So it's about 4.5 hours directly due north. So they definitely got around, it seems, in the time that they had their last breath of freedom.
One of the scenes of the homicide. So
Exactly.
That's kind of how they start to connect 2 and 2. But if you take a look at this map, and again, the men arrested in Twin Falls and believe they're being taken to the Twin Falls jail as we speak. All of this happening, by the way, about 2 o'clock, so about an hour ago. You can see, though, they went all around the state of Idaho after basically leaving Boise about 2 o'clock yesterday morning.
Yeah, exactly. So that incident with IDOC officers happened in Boise. We're told that they made their way up north to both Nez Perce and Clearwater counties, and that is allegedly where law enforcement believes that 2 homicides that could be connected to these 2 individuals occurred. They say that they found the suspect's car that they got away from St. Alphonsus with. They found that car in Leland, Idaho. You can see that on the map. And then again, as Joe said, they were found in Twin Falls today. It's important to note this happened after a short car chase, and both suspects were taken into custody without any shots fired. No extensive use of force was used in this situation, according to Boise's Police Chief Ron Weiniger. And again, it happened within the last hour. Numerous tips came in from across the state and the region, and law enforcement is really grateful for the collaboration that they had with surrounding agencies after specifically that blue alert came out yesterday late morning.
And something else I did want to touch on while we have you here, we did get an update on those IDOC officers that were injured. They were shot yesterday.
Good. I actually was asking about that, and I don't remember them saying how they were in the press conference, so I'm glad that this news station thought of asking that.
That 2 officers do remain hospitalized. We're not exactly sure what their condition is, but the indication was they are doing better and they do not have life-threatening injuries.
Exactly.
We did learn that 1 IDOC officer was released. Again, we've reported
good.
that 2
One of them was
officers were
released.
shot by who we now know as Nicholas Umfenauer. Another was incidentally shot by a BPD officer. We're not exactly sure who was released and what conditions are out there. But I did want to add quickly that Nicholas Umfenauer, again, the man who came and picked up Mead from the hospital early yesterday morning, we we just learned during that news conference, he was released from the state prison here in January of this year.
Yeah, exactly. And as Joe mentioned, IDOC's director, Josh T-Walt, saying that he and Meade shared some overlap time in that maximum security prison, and they are both members of the white supremacist prison gang Aryan Knights. Police are still investigating how exactly these two other homicides that occurred in North Idaho are connected to these two men. It is still a very active situation with detectives still on scene up in North Idaho. But again, those two IDOC officers that are still in the hospital are recovering. They are stable. One officer was released from the hospital, and T-Walt said that their spirits certainly lifted when he told them that these suspects have been found, Joe.
And we know over the next several days and probably weeks and months, we're going to learn more and more about the situation. If you were curious, though, other than the IDOC crossover between these two gentlemen, what connections do they have? We heard from state police that they do believe there are some shared connections within social circles between these two men. Again,
and in the prison.
And in the prison, yes. And, you know, that Aryan Knight prison gang, as Director T-Walt was saying, they know it's a problem. It's something they monitor. The question is now is how did all this come together and how do they prevent it from happening again?
Yeah, he elaborated as well about how difficult it is sometimes to trace and track communication from inside prison as well as outside prison. They have a system in prison that they use to message people outside called JPay, but certainly in something like this, it's likely, you know, that wouldn't necessarily be used. It's possible that there was contraband cell phones.
Well, and it seems like Mr. Meade was good at contraband things, so I'm guessing he probably was able to get some stuff in there.
T-Walt said that that's really common inside Idaho Department of Correction, and they try so hard to intercept and mitigate any of that going on, but it's really difficult. And so their staff is investigating again how exactly they were able to coordinate this attack that they're calling planned. He said, quote, there are ways they attempt to thwart procedures and safeguards in place. And so that's exactly what they're trying to figure out right now, Joe.
Well, if you're just joining us here on News Channel 7, we are live here bringing you coverage after a press conference. Again, we want to tell you that the two men that law enforcement across the state of Idaho, the two men they are looking for after a shooting and a prison break really from St. Alphonsus yesterday, both men have been arrested without incident in Twin Falls. However, Idaho State Police tell us that there's been two homicides really up in North Idaho that are possibly connected to this, something that we'll definitely have to dig into over the next several days.
Yeah.
And I feel like they have to know something to even mention the two homicides that they, quote, believe to be connected. Why would they announce it otherwise, in my opinion? I mean, if they're not connected, I don't feel like they would even mention it.
Yeah, still several questions, but we want to thank law enforcement from across the state, as you heard from the folks.
Oh, and they cut off really, really quick there. Ooh. So I had seen, yeah, K-Braze, I don't know why, but I keep getting the vibe of witnesses can't talk if they're not alive. And it'll definitely be interesting to find out more about, you know, those two homicides in northern Idaho. And clearly, Mr. Meade has a connection to Twin Falls because that's where his arrest was for shooting a police officer. Just very, very sad and scary. I mean, yeah, there's no way he's getting any information from outside in solitary unless it was from a prison guard. And we had actually discussed that yesterday, Lisa, because when in the initial press conference with, you know, he was brought to St. Alphonsus, and so one of the reporters had said, you know, why did you pick that hospital? Something to that effect. And so I don't remember what the response was, but then somebody in chat was like, well, then how did they know how did this guy know what hospital he would be at? So there's something suspicious, in my opinion. Yeah, there's something. Bree says, I used to think Idaho might be a nice, safe place to retire to. Not anymore. And you're right, Brandy. It's just the past few years. And thanks for being here, Brandy. I hope you're doing well. Oh, Brandy says, as well as other gangs right across the river in Ontario, there was a gang shooting in a parking lot 2 months ago. My gosh. I agree, Ash. Thank goodness they caught these guys. So they had, they had about 18 hours of freedom, which is 18 hours too many. And the fact that, this Umphenauer was just released, I mean, he had, like 2 months of freedom. But they definitely are going to be where they belong in my opinion. So Lisa says, but in solitary, you don't get that. You are stripped before you are put in that room. So this is off topic, but I had seen I got to think of how it was worded in the article. I'm going to see if I can find the article. It was a recent article, someone with contraband related. I don't remember where it was, but contraband, they found it in the man's rectum. And here. It was in good old Albany. Okay, so let me look up New York inmate. That's why I saw it. Oh, here we go. Let's take a look at this. And then we'll get into Persia Nelson. There's just a quick article about her. Now, where is... I clicked on the link to get the article. Where the heck is it? Because the title of it is Inmate Caught Trying... And actually, this is what made me go, what the heck? The man tried to smuggle razor blades in through his rectum. And now I can't find... Okay, let me go to YouTube because I know there was a video about it. Here we go. Okay. It's just a very short clip. It doesn't look like there's a video. It looks like there's just writing. But this is in good old Albany, New York. So, according to the Albany County Sheriff's Office, a new inmate at the Albany County Correctional Facility was found with 2 razor blades hidden inside his rectum. I don't know how this man was able to do this, but it seems kind of painful. Oh, really, Bernadette? They have an x-ray chair at the prison. He said that I wouldn't believe what you can fit up. Yeah, ouch. Oh, no, Lisa. My dad saw a lot of weird things people claim to have, quote, just fallen on inside of the ER. Oh, no. Oh, here we go. A body scanner detected the blades during the screening process. This would be... Okay. Oh, I was going to say, I wonder what his name is. Dante, oops, I thought I paused it. Hold on a second. Let me go back. Dante Sawyer was charged with criminal possession of a weapon in the 3rd and 4th degrees and promoting prison contraband. Sawyer will be arraigned in the town of Colony Court on March 25th. I wonder what his initial charge was. So let me pause. Dante Sawyer. I'm gonna just look up his name. Dante Sawyer, Albany. Okay, so if this is the same guy, which I'm assuming it is, Albany man charged with attempted murder in Central Avenue shooting. And this was, oh, nope, that was September 2021. Okay, so let me stop sharing that for a minute. Oh, here, December 5th. Nope, here it is. Okay, here's another story about him. Oh, here's a video of his picture. Let's take a look at this one. Kind of getting off topic, but when someone had mentioned, you know, contraband. So, man accused of bringing raisin. Okay, wow. Their typing is not very good at all. Man accused of bringing razor blades to correctional facility. Let's see if they say anything. Nope, that's the same thing. Okay, so we'll just take a look at this video.
I chose Wix for my business because of its massive scope for functionality. And
an Albany man has been arrested for allegedly bringing in 2 razor blades into the Albany Correctional Facility. The sheriff's office says the weapons were detected as they were booking 29-year-old Dante Sawyer. A body scanner said the blades were hidden in his body. Sawyer's now facing criminal possession of a weapon.
Crap! Not to that, I did not mean to do that play on words, but like, I mean, granted, they probably look bigger because it's a smaller photo, but those are pretty big razor blades. Cave Rays, good point. His last name would have Saw in it. I wonder how long they've been up there. I don't know, but I know, right, Cave Rays? I wasn't trying to, you know. That wasn't planned, but I mean, those are
weapon and promoting prison contraband. He's expected to be arraigned.
I mean, what?
In the town of Colony Court on Monday.
Okay, so I might have to follow this story as well. And I'm just curious as to why he was brought to prison. Oh, yeah, there's some of this stuff is crazy. Oh yeah, Bernadette, right? I'd hate to be the guard that had to retrieve those blades. Oh, really, Ashtastic? You named your daughter Albany? Yeah, they'll say Albany or Albany. It's like it's a state capital. I mean, there's Albany, Georgia. There's maybe they pronounce it differently down in Georgia, but I think it's still Albany. So the last thing that I want to talk about, unless we have other things we want to look at, because like I said, I wasn't planning on going live today, but when I saw that those 2 men had been captured, I wanted to come live. Oh, really, AMAC? Oregon and California also have an Albany? Hey, Cheese Cracker. That's a cool name. I'd say a good majority of prison inmates have put them in their prison pocket. You use a toothbrush cap or wrap it up, then add the handle later. Oh, K-Braze is still in shock. Okay. Oh, Brianna, I remember that show. Yeah. I know. Craziness. So this last thing that I wanted to share was an update in regards to Persia Nelson, who was indicted today on second-degree murder charges, as well as she's also facing second-degree manslaughter charges, as well as, I forgot the other one. There was another charge that I don't remember. Maybe it was those two initially, but I feel like when I listened to this, they had announced another charge. Maybe not.
We've also got new developments now in the case against the mother accused of killing her 10-month-old child in Schenectady.
24-year-old Persia Nelson has been indicted on a new charge in connection with the death of Halo Branton. We've just learned that Nelson is scheduled to be arraigned on April 11th. News 10 ABC's
April 11th.
News 10 has obtained a copy of Persia
But
Nelson's
spring
indictment,
break is
and she faces a new
over.
charge, endangering the welfare of a child. 24-year-old Persia Nelson is accused of dropping her 10-month-old daughter, Halo Branton, down a pipe in Schenectady on March 9th. I spoke with Nelson's public defender, Stephen Signori, about the new charge.
But I'm not surprised. I would expect them to have as many charges as they possibly could related to the event.
The new endangering the welfare of a child charge.
Ooh, okay. So I'm going to read this. So it says the grand jury of the county of Schenectady by this indictment hereby accuses the defendant of the crime of murder in the second degree, a class A1 felony, and a violation of section 125.254 of the penal law of the state of New York as follows. Okay, so I'm going to actually look up 125.25 subsection 4, New York State penal law. Here we go. And, oh wow, there's a lot. Okay, so yeah, second degree murder and so that's all it says. It's just the actual charge and then more definition. On or about or between March 9th, 2024 and March 10th, 2024, in the county of Schenectady, New York, the defendant, under circumstances evincing a depraved indifference to human life and being 18 years old or more, recklessly engaged in conduct,
comes on top of an indictment on manslaughter,
which created a grave risk of serious physical injury or death to a person less than 11 years old. Halo Branton, date of birth, April 14th, 2023, and thereby caused her death. Second count.
And second-degree murder with depraved indifference charges.
So you...
Oh. And then again, the second count, so it was only 2 counts. The second charge is manslaughter in the second degree, a Class C felony, and a violation of section 125.15, subsection 1 of the penal law of the state of New York.
With depraved indifference charges.
So you mentioned endangering the welfare of a child, okay? That might be the most easiest charge for them to present to the grand jury at this time because they're marshaling in all the other evidence for all the other cases for the higher charges.
The public defender again gave us a brief insight into his client's current mindset.
Like I said, like a mother who has found out that her child is dead.
But questions still loom about Nelson's mental state the night of Halo's disappearance, especially for the baby's paternal grandmother.
So Remy, in New York State, first degree murder is how do I say it? First degree murder is for correctional officers, police officers, public servants. Second degree murder, depraved indifference, is for cases like this. And actually, New York State Penal Law, first degree murder. And we can kind of take a look at this. So here is murder in the first degree in New York State. So again, murder in the first degree is when a person is guilty of murder in the first degree when, with intent to cause the death of another person, he causes the death of such person or of a third person, and A, either 1, the intended victim was a police officer, 2, the intended victim was a peace officer, or the intended victim was a firefighter, emergency medical technician, ambulance driver, paramedic, physician, or registered nurse, or the intended victim was an employee of a state correctional institution or was an employee of a local correctional facility as defined. So we were on 3. 4. At the time of the commission of the killing, the defendant was confined in a state correctional institution or was otherwise in custody upon a sentence for the term of his natural life or upon a sentence commuted to one of natural life, And 5, the intended victim was a witness to a crime committed on a prior occasion, and the death was caused for the purpose of preventing the intended victim's testimony. 6, the defendant committed the killing or procured commission of the killing pursuant to an agreement with a person other than the intended victim. So I would assume that's something like murder for hire. 7, the victim was killed while the defendant was in the course of committing or attempting to commit and in furtherance of robbery, burglary, kidnapping, arson, and so on. Again, the victim was killed while the defendant was in the course of committing or attempting to commit in furtherance, again, those same crimes. So again, this would not fit, whereas murder in the second degree, so if we look at murder in the second degree, a person is guilty of murder in the second degree when, with intent to cause the death of another person, he causes the death of such person or of a third person, except that in any prosecution under the subdivision, it is an affirmative defense that A1, the defendant acted under the influence of extreme emotional disturbance, for which there was a reasonable explanation or excuse. The defendant's conduct consisted of causing or aiding without the use of duress or deception another person to take their own life. And then here is where she is being charged for depraved indifference. Under circumstances evincing a depraved indifference to human life, he recklessly engages in conduct which creates a grave risk of death to another person and thereby causes the death of another person. So this is where that depraved indifference, second degree murder comes in. That is true. She said she was drunk on Facebook. She didn't say she was drunk, in court, but she sure told everybody she was drunk on Facebook.
Grandfather, who we spoke to before Nelson's last court appearance.
She was the mother of my granddaughter and my grandson. She had love for them. Sometimes I just think about how will she hurt her child.
On March 9th, Nelson reportedly left a family gathering at this home on Campbell Avenue before wandering onto the GE campus where Halo was eventually discovered unresponsive. It's been almost a week since Nelson was informed of her indictment, yet she still has not been brought before a county judge. Signori says it's not uncommon for a case to take this long.
There's a protocol that has to be adhered to before they present the indictment for the judge and have her arraigned on it. So it would not be surprising that they take the requisite amount of time that's necessary, regardless of the nature of the case.
Reporting in Schenectady, Zion Dakota News 10. ABC.
All right, so there we have it. So again, April 11th, or not April 11th. Oh yeah, April 11th is where was I wrote down April 11th, and I don't remember if it was for Persia or if it was for the Idaho escapees. I believe it was for Persia. April 11th is her next court appearance, and I won't be on spring break anymore. So that would have been interesting to be able to get out there, if possible, to see it. So I want to thank everyone for being here. I do appreciate it. Again, very excited that the one escapee and his accomplice were caught, apprehended, and they're going to be hopefully spending the rest of their lives in prison. Voluntary intoxication is not a defense. Very true, Bernadette. Very true. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for being here. Please be sure to have notifications on, which apparently worked today because I only gave y'all like 8 minutes to get here. And Bree had said that her notification went off immediately. So that is great news. Hopefully YouTube is getting itself together. So I will be putting together a video about a tragic house fire in Pennsylvania. So definitely look out for that. It usually takes me a few hours to edit and splice things together just to get it the way I want it. So definitely take a look at that. And I'm not sure when I'll go live next, but I hope y'all will be here when I do. So have a great rest of your night. And if I don't see you on these YouTube streets, I will see you all on the flip side.